Hey guys, it's me, Gabriel, coming to you with that evening spark. It's not evening yet, but you know, granted, when you see these episodes 2 days from now, won't really matter either way, because you might watch it in the morning, or even what have you. But that's not really important. So this evening spark, I thought it'd be something that was just came to me in a really beautiful way. And trying to figure out what to name this is, say that the infinite expressions of Christ, um, you know, but one love. Was that what it was? Yeah. you'll see in the title. Um, anyways, though, the whole essence of it is that, um, you know, one thing that has dawned on me is about how, you know, I've read other books aside from the Bible and Science and Health. I'm a Christian Scientist by officially, or by trade. So that's tickling the throat. But in my spiritual journey, the Holy Spirit has been gracious enough to bring to my awareness other books that have been able to help give me an appreciation for these other spiritual texts, or rather, for the Bible and Science and Health, and whatever your spiritual book may be, or whatever like religion you follow. I think there can actually be a beauty in seeking out other spiritual texts, and then it doesn't have to become a case of, oh, I read these books, now it disqualifies my spiritual text, because you are, in a sense, you've been raised and grown through this religious experience, and so it's going to make sense that you're going to understand the essence of God and the world and the universe through this lens. And the beautiful thing is that because it's not just a matter of opinion, there is a truth to God, then that would mean then that these other spiritual texts you can shine, that light of the Christ can shine back to its original source, that being, Jesus and the Bible and things and what have you. And I think when you can look at it from that perspective, it doesn't have to mean, you don't have to feel like you're betraying your religion if you read other books outside of the ones for which your religion is associated with. But in fact, it can, if anything, as I come to call it, clothe it with new garments of thought. That you're able to, if anything, it's given me a better appreciation of these works by Mrs. Eddy and the works of Jesus and all the people within the Bible, and it gives me a better perspective. And I think you can tell if the work that you're reading is genuinely fruitful to your soul, if by it it's helping you be more harmonious, more compassionate, more loving, forgiving, more reverent for others, more open to being able to find common ground, and to be able to feel as though you can be in an environment where you're more open to being vulnerable. And I think when you can read books like this, that may not seem to have this almighty dynamic to them, perhaps like what you might experience with the Bible, where it doesn't have all the religious undertones, I think sometimes that actually can be beneficial, because like the Bible obviously is a highly spiritual book, but because of the cultures that often are associated with them, it can tend to mar our thought with those texts, and can make people read it in a sort of frightful and angry state of mind. And certain passages, if not discerned correctly, can elicit that kind of response and feeling because of your experiences you very well may have had with your religion that you've been a part of. So things like the seed of the soul, things like what Gary Zukov has brought and given these gifts that he's given to the world, and Linda Francis, and plenty of other spiritual teachers, mind you, where there's not, like for instance, like the seed of the soul, it obviously it's heavily spiritual. I mean, it's, in the very title it says seed of the soul, it has soul in the title, but there really isn't those religious undertones. And I think that's where I think, like, from my talking with a lot of atheists and agnostics, a lot of times their frustration with God isn't so, it seems to be more stemmed and rooted in a frustration with the religion and church of Christianity. And that has then painted their depiction and discernment and understanding of God as a whole, which is really almost, I say it's sad, not in like a derogatory term, a knock towards them, but it's sad that they've had to have had that experience to the extent that, you know, now they're in a lot of ways they're not being able to see that because of what they have had to have gone through. They're not able to see the more beautiful picture of what God's really about. So books like The Seed of the Soul, I think, and other books as well, I'm just using that because that's what I'm reading actively right now, is that they can help, I think, get people back in rhythm with the real heart and core and truth of what God's really about, without all the religious undertones. And sometimes other books can really help with that. And I think at the end of the day, if it's helping you get, more ingrained, like, I think one thing, let me scratch that, reverse that. If by your experience with these books, and it's helping you have a greater appreciation for the Bible, or for me, Science and Health and other works by Mrs. Eddy and what have you, and it gives you more appreciation for that, then I think you really have to look at the proof in the pudding, so to speak. And that can be really beautiful. That also being said, shouldn't be like, only if that happens can you consider yourself having a good experience, because you having a better appreciation for the Bible may not directly relate to you getting more involved with a particular church per se. But I think beyond whatever religion or lack thereof that you may follow into, I think what really is the core of it all is, like I was saying earlier, by that measure of your capacity to love your neighbor better, to be able to have a grander intention and effort towards harmony and vulnerability and humility and and common ground and reverence for one another and life itself. I think those are the marks of that fruit of your labor, so to speak. And it is amazing how by that sort of melting of the heart, so to speak, of elevating your spiritual understanding, how that can actually shift you to where it may take you, all the places you'll go, as it were. I think sets things back into balance. I think by expanding your spiritual palette, so to speak, it aligns things more as they should. Because you very well shouldn't go back to a particular church, especially if there was a lot of hate involved. But at the same time, it can help. Reading, other spiritual texts can potentially help say things and explain and articulate things in a way that perhaps didn't make sense prior, because of perhaps frustrations you may have had with the culture of where you were. I know that had been a thing for me, that I think had kind of caused a bit of confusion within my thinking with Christian Science. And I started to realize that it wasn't so much against the core teachings of Mrs. Eddy, but rather more about some of the aspects of the culture of Christian Science, which that even in and of itself, I've come to find a greater appreciation and value of, kind of like your family. There's certain parts that you may get a little frustrated with, you may want to be a certain way, but those actually, in all honesty, you start to see that as more of just the wants of your personality, and you realize, there's a sense of acceptance, a sense of, there are things that can be improved upon, but let me be willing to put my, cast my bark upon the healthful yet ever, still waters, as it were, stirring the water of thought and putting that out there, because you're a part of that consciousness of whatever group you may be a part of. And that's cool, man. I think there's a certain beauty to all of that. And I think it can really help elevate and uplift the human spirit. So, and it's amazing how things bring themselves back in a way that can be so beautiful, especially when we have that new lens that's aligned with the soul and it can help us be more compassionate, more loving, and all these things. And so, it's a healthful spiritual diet is what I will say. But yeah, man, that's what I got for you. Maybe that's what I should call it. Healthful, transcending beyond the spiritual, beyond your religion. A healthful spiritual diet. I don't know, man. Anyways, I'll see you guys around. Hope you have a good evening. I hope it's filled with many blessings, and I hope that this is giving you some good insight as far as how you can go about your spiritual experience and what the Holy Spirit will bring to your awareness that will be just the right kind of healing and just the right kind of spirituality that will help you grow in just the right kind of way. Because it's been doing great wonders for me. And when you open your heart, it's amazing what will come into it. Okay? I'll see you, friends.